The real power players aren't the loudest in the room. They're the ones who've weaponized what everyone else mistakes for weakness. Ready to join them? Why this invisible power makes you unstoppable over time. Let's cut straight to what nobody wants to talk about. Long-term strategic dominance. Anyone can win a single battle by screaming louder or hitting harder. But building sustainable, unshakable power? That's a completely different game. And most people don't even know they're playing it wrong. When you master strategic non-reaction and calculated indifference, something remarkable happens over months and years. You become immune to the manipulation tactics that control everyone else. Think about the raw power of that. Every psychological trick in the book, guilt trips, social pressure, emotional blackmail, fear of missing out, they all bounce off you like raindrops off granite. This creates an asymmetric advantage that's almost unfair. While others are trapped in endless drama cycles, office politics, and ego battles, you're quietly advancing toward your actual goals. While they burn energy on meaningless conflicts, you're accumulating resources. It's like being the only sober person in a room full of drunks. You see everything clearly while they stumble around blind. There's a principle from asymmetric warfare that applies perfectly here. You control the narrative by refusing to fight on their terms. When someone tries to drag you into conflict and you simply don't engage, they end up fighting themselves. And what kind of victory is fighting yourself? It's embarrassing, exhausting, self-sabotaging. The beauty of this system is its compound effect. Each successful non-reaction adds another layer to your invisible armor. Each ignored provocation increases your psychological capital. Each avoided drama gives you more time and energy to invest in what actually matters. The compound effect of this over years is staggering. Ancient warriors understood this concept deeply. They knew that the fighter who remains calm controls the fight. The one who stays centered while everyone else loses their minds holds all the cards. It's the ultimate strategic efficiency, maximum results with minimum energy expenditure. Here's your action plan. Start by identifying what triggers your automatic reactions. What makes you immediately defensive, angry, or reactive? Write it down. Now, every single time those triggers appear, practice adding just 1 second before responding. 1 second to breathe, to observe, to choose. Over time, that second becomes natural, and the power it gives you becomes automatic. Are you ready to embrace this power that most people dismiss as weakness? Drop the word unstoppable in the comments if you understand the value of this transformation. What was the biggest revelation you had watching this? If this video shifted your perspective on real strength, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to discover the secret. Because knowledge like this shouldn't stay hidden, it should multiply. How building inner power destroys 1,000 external strategies. Let's talk about something the self-help industry loves to ignore: the brutal difference between looking powerful and being powerful. One is makeup. The other is bone structure. One washes off in the first rain. The other stands unshaken through hurricanes. Building inner power through non-reaction isn't a psychological trick. It's neural reprogramming. Every single time you choose not to react to provocation, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're strengthening the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for executive control, while weakening the amygdala, the center of fear and impulsive reaction. Here's the practical process nobody teaches you. Start small. When someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of cursing or honking, observe your anger rise and then let it pass like a cloud. Don't suppress it. Don't fight it, just observe. This detached observation creates space between you and the emotion. You're not the anger. You're the one watching the anger. Ancient philosophers understood this perfectly. They knew we can't control external events, only our responses to them. But they went further. They realized we don't even need to respond. That true power lies in consciously choosing when to engage and when to simply let things pass. There's an operational rule few people know. Never interrupt your opponent when they're making a mistake. And believe me, when someone is reacting emotionally, they're making multiple mistakes. While they disintegrate, you remain whole. While they spend energy, you conserve it. While they reveal weaknesses, you remain enigmatic. But here's the real transformation that happens when you master this. Your self-image fundamentally changes. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start perceiving yourself as their architect. That feeling of powerlessness that used to dominate you, it evaporates, replaced by a confident quietness that cannot be stolen. This doesn't mean you never act. It means when you do act, it's deliberate, calculated, devastatingly effective. It's not reaction, it's response. Not impulse, it's strategy. The difference between the two is the distance between an amateur and a master. And the most fascinating part, the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. What once required conscious effort now flows automatically. You become the living embodiment of silent power. How would your life change if you operated from this level of inner strength? What if strategic indifference was the magnetism you've been searching for? This is where the real magic happens, where the paradox reveals itself in all its disturbing glory. You've spent your whole life trying to impress, trying to prove your worth, trying to win approval. And the more you tried, the more elusive respect became. Why? Because you were chasing validation like a beggar chases crumbs. Now watch what happens when you stop seeking, when you cultivate genuine indifference toward others' opinions. Not as a defensive shield, but as an inner truth. Something strange and wonderful occurs. People move closer. They feel compelled to decode you, to understand why you don't need them. This happens because most people are desperate for validation. They operate from a state of lack, always performing, always proving. When you simply exist without needing to perform, you become an anomaly. And anomalies are magnetic. One of the fundamental laws teaches, use absence to increase respect and honor. But let's go deeper. It's not just about physical absence. It's about emotional absence from the game. When you're not competing for attention, you paradoxically become its center. When you're not fighting for power, it flows naturally toward you. Think about how this works practically. Someone tries to manipulate you emotionally. Instead of entering the drama, you simply acknowledge the attempt and move on. Not with anger, with resentment, just with serene indifference. The manipulator becomes disconcerted. All their tools become useless against someone who simply doesn't care about the outcome. This is the invisible wall. You don't need elaborate defenses when there's simply nothing to defend. You don't need to counterattack when you weren't wounded in the first place. It's like trying to knock down a mountain with punches. The mountain doesn't even notice your efforts. And here's the most intriguing aspect. This doesn't transform you into someone cold or disconnected. Actually, it frees you for more authentic connections. Because now, you choose where to invest your energy, not from neurotic need, but from genuine interest. People feel this difference, and they respond to it. Do you see how this invisible power works? Drop the word fortress in the comments if this makes sense to you. And tell me, in what situation in your life could you apply the strategic indifference right now? If this content is expanding your vision of power, leave your like and subscribe to the channel. Why the art of non-reaction turns you into an impenetrable fortress. Now, let's dive into the concept that's going to flip your understanding upside down. Non-reaction as the supreme weapon. And no, this isn't about being a doormat or accepting everything passively. This is about something far more sophisticated, far more lethal. Picture yourself in a crucial negotiation. The other party provokes you, attacks you verbally, tries to destabilize you. The amateur reacts immediately, defends themselves, raises their voice. And in that exact moment, they've already lost. Why? Because they revealed where it hurts, showed their vulnerabilities, handed over emotional control to the opponent. The master, however, simply observes. Calculated silence, unwavering gaze, no visible reaction. And something fascinating happens in that vacuum. The provoker starts questioning themselves. Why isn't he reacting? Did it not work? Does he know something I don't? Uncertainty settles in like poison, and suddenly, the one who was attacking is now vulnerable. There's a principle in martial arts that few understand. You cannot hit what offers no resistance. When you react, you create a friction point, a target. When you don't react, you become mist, impossible to hold, impossible to hurt. Warriors called this the mind like water principle. It reflects everything but retains nothing. Look at history's great strategists. Those who truly built lasting empires weren't the loudest. They were the quietest. They understood that every unspoken word is a card kept. Every suppressed reaction is information denied to the enemy. Every ignored provocation is a disarmed trap. Modern neuroscience confirms what the ancients already knew. When you learn not to react automatically, you create space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your power. In that space you choose, calculate, dominate. The impulsive person is a slave to circumstances. The person who masters non-reaction is master of their own fate. But here's the crucial detail that separates this from simple passivity. You're not running from conflict. You're choosing the battlefield. You're forcing the opponent to play on your board, by your rules, on your timeline. And when they finally realize they're playing the wrong game, it's already too late. You've already won without even needing to raise your sword. What patterns in your life would change if you mastered this principle? How everything you learned about power is completely wrong. Look, since childhood you've been programmed to believe that power means shouting louder, hitting harder, reacting faster. Society sold you this narrative that strength equals visible aggression, explicit domination, ostentatious control over everything and everyone. But here's the disturbing truth nobody tells you. You've been deceived. Think with me. When a general shows all his cards on the table, he's already lost the war before it even begins. When a warrior reveals every move he intends to make, his sword becomes useless. The fundamental principle says it clearly: conceal your intentions. But let's go further. What if you could hide even your own strength? The problem with conventional power is that it's like a bonfire in the middle of the night. Everyone sees it. Everyone prepares. Everyone knows exactly how to defend themselves against you. It's immediate gratification, yes, but it's also a target painted on your back. You become predictable, manipulable, vulnerable. Here's the hidden cost of this approach that nobody calculates. Each reaction drains your vital energy. Each direct confrontation reveals your cards. Each demonstration of strength spends ammunition you'll never recover. It's like playing chess while shouting every move before making it. You think you're dominating, but you're actually serving yourself on a silver platter. The most effective operators aren't those in the spotlight. They're those operating in the shadows, invisible, untouchable. They understand something that escapes most people. True power doesn't need to be announced, proclaimed, or displayed. It simply exists, silent and absolutely devastating. What if I told you there's a completely counterintuitive approach? A strategy so subtle that most people confuse it with weakness, with passivity, even with cowardice. But those who truly understand know, this weakness is actually the purest and most invincible form of strategic power. The question isn't whether you're ready to learn this. The question is, can you unlearn everything you've been taught about strength first? This content is for educational and informational purposes about personal strategy and emotional intelligence development. The techniques presented should be used ethically and responsibly. We do not encourage manipulation, antisocial behavior, or disrespect toward others.